Hi everyone, this is Team 6 from ACR 517 Capstone project. I'm the Scrum Master and let's begin our Sprint 2 review. Let's start with Amarnath. Can you talk about the task you worked on this sprint?
Yep. Hello team. So for Sprint 2, I've I've implemented and completed task 47, 48, and task 39. Firstly, speaking about tasks 47 and 48, which is designing and implementing the income stream and payment models. So these models are designed and implemented to manage the recurring income and payout tracking. So the referential integrity is maintained for the both tables and indexes. The required indexes were were put so that database reads are fast. And when coming to task 39, which is implementing the tool selection API, so this task included few steps. They are like firstly, it involved creation of the user tool selection table and implementing the tool catalog endpoint to list the available tools, and also implementing the user specific selection endpoint to retrieve and update the selected tools. And at last, uh, implementing the JWT based authentication to secure the access to this tool selection API. And I've also with my team configured about regarding Amazon RDS so that our entire team uses a shared database instance. So this was my work for the Sprint 2. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on with Satvik. Can you talk about your task?
Yeah, for this sprint, my task was getting task checklist and tracker metrics APIs working end to end. And now we have a single endpoint that pulls budget, savings, and learning progress together, which sets up nicely for our coming dashboard. Coming to each task, my first task was task 43, create task checklist data API. Like it was for implementing API to retrieve checklist task for budgeting. If I have to go into the working, I worked on full crude API, whether it's create, reading, updating, and deleting options for all savings and checklist. Next, I fixed the serializer configuration so that the current amount can be updated instead of just read only for this in this task. And coming to next task 44, create task checklist update API. Like it is mainly about update and delete endpoints adding to already to the task 43. And coming to task 45, create data metrics tracker metric API. This is where like we aggregate all the data from multiple modules like budget plan, ledger events, task checklist, learning content, everything. That's it. That's it from my work for this sprint.
Okay. We'll move on with Varun. Can you review your task?
I have I have worked on user story 35 and completed task 36 by building the user login post API, which authenticates users using username and the password, validating credentials for the API access. And I also included test cases to verify the correct and incorrect login scenarios. I also completed task 37 by implementing the user profile update API and added the logic to update user profiles and the fields and securing the endpoint using the JWT auth token. And lastly, I finished task 38 by developing the user profile details API, which uh, gives us the user profile details in the API. And that's all about my task.
Okay. We'll move on with Pranav. Yeah, please review
Hello
your
team.
task.
Yeah, hello team. For this sprint, my main focus was on implementing the remaining database migration tasks. Those are tasks 51 and 52. For task 51, I implemented the calculator audit table. This table stores logs of financial tool calculations, including inputs, assumption, and outputs. The idea is to maintain a clear history of calculations so results can be traced and analyzed later if needed. I also ensure the table integrates properly with the existing user data and added indexing to support efficient queries. And for the task 52, I implemented the monthly financial snapshot table, which stores summarized financial information for each user, such as monthly income, spending, and savings. It mainly supports reporting and dashboard features by allowing the system to quickly retrieve monthly summaries without recalculating everything repeatedly. Also, as Amar said, we also decided to move our database to AWS RDS instead of using separate local databases. So this helped ensure that everyone is working on the same database environment and reduce sync issues. So I would say overall, both the tasks were completed successfully, and the database structure is now more stable and ready to support further development. Yeah, that's it from myself.
Okay. We'll move on with Mokshit. Yeah, please review your task.
Hi team. For this sprint, I worked on task 41, budget calculator engine, and task 42, the budget profile retrieval API, and CI/CD resource optimization. And for the task 41, the API for budget calculator engine, it worked. So I mainly worked on the core backend logic to support multi-strategy financial model, which implemented. A validation for user income and other inputs. And the other task is budget profile retrieval, which is an API endpoint that retrieves all the user related budget profile. And the other thing I worked on is CI/CD resource optimization, where I refactored the Jenkins pipeline to use conditional execution, which now automatically skips the heavy Docker builds on standard feature branches. This helps us reduce server usage. And I also worked on test suite stabilization, which is refactoring the API test to use dynamic URL routing, like a reverse. This eliminated 404 errors that caused by hard-coded paths. Yep, that was my. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'll now talk about my task. So I mainly worked on database side. Um, so in I think user story 31, I worked on task 49, where I implemented the bill obligations table, which manages recurring and one-time financial commitments for users. This was successfully merged into deployment branch and is now part of the budgeting data foundation. Next, I worked on task 50, which is to create a ledger events table. This was implemented and because this acts as the source of truth for all financial transactions. This also enables tracking user financial activity, and it will be used by budgeting calculations and recommendation systems. Um, Also, task 33, create core user table for authentication and identity. This task was from sprint one, and we discussed as a team and decided to use Django's build an authentication user table instead of creating custom users table. I started working on the task 46, which is from user story 6. Um, to create an API for a recommendation system. So far, I have just reviewed the PRD document and analyzed dependencies between ledger events, budgeting plans, and recommendations. I also planned the endpoint structure. In the future sprint, I'll continue working on this and implement the API. So yeah, this is my part for the sprint. Thanks, everyone.